You hear about it everywhere, right? AI is going to change the world. And yeah, companies are pouring billions of dollars into it. But here's the crazy part. A huge number of these really expensive, high-stakes projects, they're failing. So what is really going on? Let's dig in and find out.
I mean, look at this. On one side, you've got all the hype, all the excitement, massive investments everywhere you look. But then you've got the cold, hard reality. So many of these projects just fizzle out. They never even make it to production. Or if they do, they don't actually deliver on their promises. There's this massive gap between the dream and the reality. So that's the big question we're going to tackle, right? What is actually going wrong here? I mean, with all this money and talent on the line, why is the success rate so low?
And you know what's so fascinating is that your first thought is probably, oh, the tech must not be good enough yet, right? Like the algorithms are failing. But that's almost never it. The real problem, the thing that's actually breaking these projects, is usually hiding in plain sight.
Turns out the real culprits are, well, they're a lot more human. We're talking about the nuts and bolts stuff, basic project management, different teams not being on the same page, and this is a big one, totally wild expectations about what AI is supposed to do and how fast it can do it. All right, so to really get to the bottom of this, we're going to break it down. Let's walk through the 5 hidden pitfalls. These are the classic traps that companies just keep falling into.
Okay, pitfall number 1. And honestly, this is probably the biggest one of all. The business problem just isn't clearly defined. It's so common to see projects start with a cool piece of tech instead of, an actual problem that needs solving. You've probably heard this before, right? A leader says something like, "We need to implement AI." That sentence, right there, should set off alarm bells. It's a classic red flag. Because implementing AI isn't a goal, it's a tool. It's like having a hammer and then running around looking for a nail. You've got it completely backwards.
So the successful projects, they totally flip the script. They start with real, specific business questions. Things like, how can we cut our operational costs? Or, can we figure out when this piece of equipment is going to fail before it fails? See the difference? The goal isn't to do AI. The goal is to solve the business problem. AI just might be the best way to get there.
All right, let's talk about pitfall number 2. And believe me, this one is a monster. Your data is not ready for AI. It's simple, right? An AI model is only as smart as the data you feed it. And almost everyone, everyone underestimates how much work this part actually is. Just look at this chart. It kind of says it all. That massive chunk, up to 80% of the entire project's effort, can be just getting the data ready. We're talking cleaning it, labeling it, getting it into the right format, all before a data scientist even writes a single line of code for the model. It's huge. And the problems are just everywhere. You've got incomplete data, you've got different teams formatting the same information in totally different ways. Maybe you don't even have enough past data to train on. And then you've got all the privacy and security rules. Seriously, any one of these can kill a project before it even starts. Okay, on to pitfall number 3. And this one ties right back to all that hype we mentioned at the beginning. Unrealistic expectations, especially coming from the top. Everyone's seen the movies and they expect some kind of magic wand. And they want it yesterday. And here's where things really clash. Leadership is often thinking about traditional software, where you have a clear plan and you see steady, linear progress. They expect these huge, immediate results. But AI development? It's the total opposite. It's messy, it's all about experimenting. You test something, it fails, you learn from it, you try again. The progress is slow, it's incremental, and it's definitely not a straight line.
Which leads us perfectly into our 4th pitfall, putting together the wrong team. You could have perfect data and the world's clearest business problem, but if you don't have the right mix of people in the room talking to each other, you're not going anywhere fast.
Look, a great AI team is like a puzzle. You obviously need the data scientists to build the models. You need data engineers to handle the data pipelines. But the piece that gets forgotten all the time, the domain expert, the person who actually understands the business. Think about it. A data scientist can build a model that's technically amazing at predicting which customers will leave. But the domain expert is the one who can look at the data and tell you why they're leaving. And that why is where the real value is.
Okay, and that takes us to our 5th and final pitfall. This one is sneaky because it happens after you think you've succeeded. The team builds an awesome model, they launch it, everybody high fives, and then they just walk away. The problem is they completely forget to keep an eye on it.
This requires such a huge shift in thinking. Getting the model out the door is not the finish line. Not even close. For AI, that's the starting line. The real work, the hard work, actually begins the moment that model is live and dealing with the messiness of the real world.
So there you have it, the 5 big reasons these projects fail. But okay, knowing the problem is one thing. How do we actually fix it? Because it's pretty clear that the old project management rulebook just doesn't apply here. We need a totally new playbook.
So let's dive into that new playbook. We're going to look at 5 key shifts, 5 new ways of thinking that can help turn all those potential failures into big wins.
And what's cool is, if you look at these 5 steps, you'll see they line up perfectly with the pitfalls we just talked about. They're the direct antidote. Instead of chasing tech, you put the problem first. Before you do anything, you validate your data. Instead of rigid plans, you plan to experiment. You build teams that actually work together, and you don't just launch the thing, you manage its entire life. All of this really points to one big idea, a fundamental change in perspective. We have to stop thinking about AI initiatives as projects that have a clear beginning and an end. We need to start thinking about them as living systems. And here's exactly why that mindset is so crucial. There's this concept called model drift. It's pretty simple, actually. Imagine you have an AI that recommends movies. Well, what happens when people's tastes change next year, or a whole new genre gets popular? The model's recommendations will start to feel stale, a little bit off. Its performance degrades over time because the world it was trained on isn't the world that exists today. So this is the main takeaway. An AI model is not a bridge you build and then just let it stand there. It's not a one-time thing you can just build and forget. You have to treat it like a garden. It's a living system that needs constant attention, monitoring, retraining, and maintenance, just to keep it performing well. And that really leaves us with one final, very important question to ask yourself and your team. Are you just caught up in the excitement of launching AI, or are you truly prepared to manage it, to care for it, for its entire life? Because honestly, the answer to that question changes everything.